So I want to take a minute and just kind of talk about putting this knife to the test. I was really surprised, and I'm a huge Mora fan. If you've watched this channel, I love Mora knives, and I've used them to baton wood and stuff like that, but I ended up just having this with me when I was gutting a deer the other day, and I ended up going with a method I didn't originally plan on, and I ended up having to cut the pelvic area. And this thing actually did not break. This is a 511, I believe. Yeah, basic 511, red and black. This is like a $12 knife. And this is what I used to basically gut it and bring it home and, you know, do all that crap. But when I was doing it, because I'd had to cut up under the fur to try to avoid the stomach lining, you know, cut around the family jewels down there. And when I got to the pelvic area, you're supposed to use a saw. The saw I had was too big and it didn't work. So I just folded the saw up. I was like, well, you know, no better time than now to test this to see if it'll baton bone. And that's exactly what it did. I mean, and it did it very well. I'll get this camera. I still got the carcass here. This is a couple days later. So I'm going to just kind of show you where I had went. I wish I'd got video of this, but I'm really surprised that this held up batoning pelvic bone to release all the entrails and stuff to just kind of slide it out of the carcass. But it did a fantastic job. And so I'll show you kind of aftermath of, you know, what I did. And, you know, I'm impressed. For 12 bucks, you really can't go wrong with that. So that's another notch in Mora's belt for having a good knife at an extremely affordable price. So let's get to that carcass and I'll show you that. All right, so as far as the pelvic region, feeling like, oh, that's nasty. I just need to haul it off, but I ain't afraid to touch it. But yeah, right here on these sections, I ended up batoning this knife through those, and it did great. I can't believe that it didn't break. I mean, I was prying with it, and it ended up getting like the further in part that I didn't get batoned, it just broke. But it didn't roll the edge on it. It didn't, you know, it didn't make the freaking blade come loose. And these aren't a full tang. This isn't a full tang constructed knife, so that's surprising, just the amount of abuse I'd put through that to get that to release and make the legs open up more and just drag the guts out. And, you know, in trying to get to the heart, I had batoned this area same way, coming up this direction all the way back up there to pry it apart and pull the heart and all that stuff out and cut the windpipe. You really can't go wrong with it if a $12 knife's going to hold up to that much abuse and being batoned through wood and everything else, and just being easy to sharpen. These things are so easy to sharpen. You know, this isn't so much a review as just bragging. This is like the cheapest one in the entire line that I know of. And I can baton bone with it. So, you know, I guess that's about all there is for this video, but it really blew me away just being able to really abuse this thing, and it held up. I mean, I'm more than impressed. So as far as the 511 basic, just because it's the cheaper knife doesn't mean it isn't a good knife.